Yo, 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 yo. What's happening, y'all? What's happening, y'all? It's John Lee, B-Swag Podcast. I tried this once. It didn't record. Whatever. I don't know what happened. Same thing that happened to episode 2, I believe it was. Fake Ass Women. That didn't record. And that was a good podcast. We put a lot into that one. A lot of notes, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it didn't record. So, I don't know. I did this one again. I did it earlier. It didn't record. So I'm going to keep it under an hour. Okay, we're just going to do a quick one here. This is a B-Swag podcast. Okay. We're sponsored by B-Swag Marketing LLC, the ultimate marketing company. Your digital marketing, your internet marketing, done right. B-Swag Marketing LLC, basically they put eyeballs on your business. Also brought to you by, sponsored by, okay, On the Hook with Be Love. That's On the Hook with Be Love. Catch him on YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel. It's called On the Hook with Be Love. Everything you need to know about fishing. Everything you need to know about fishing. He's got it for you. Okay? So let's just jump right on into it. Okay? Like I said last week, last podcast, episode 2, didn't record. I don't know what happened. It was a good podcast. At least I thought it was. Okay? Any comments? Any ideas? Anything you want to mention, say right now, just go to bswagpodcast@gmail.com. And that's with 3 G's. That's bswagpodcast with 3 G's at gmail.com. Now let's jump right on into it. Okay? I'm talking about friends. The subject of today is friends. I've had several friends. I've had close friends. I've had best friends. I've had just friends, acquaintances. Colleagues that I call friends. I've had them all. And I've been blessed. God has blessed me. Some of the people that I have had the opportunity and the privilege to call friends. It's been a beautiful thing. I'm just going to point out a few, because I'm going to make this quick to see if we can make sure this records this time. But we're going to start from younger ages, okay? We're going to start from my baby ages. Some of my best friends, some of my good friends that I still am in contact today. I'm 55 years old. It's 2023. To start off, heck, in my younger years, back in like the third grade, third grade, first, second, third grade through fifth grade, there's John Graham, Bruce Howell, there's Boogaloo, there's Lewis Curtis, Jonathan Wright, the Choir family, Howard Choir, Felicia Choir, and all their brothers and sisters. Can't forget about Sean Pearson, Dave Pugh, Wayne Ellis, Larry G. Well, Larry G wasn't really a friend. He was just somebody I went to school with, tried to be a bully. But my boy Wayne Ellis had my back. He was a good friend. Those were friends starting off my younger years. Like I said, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. Especially Dave Pugh, Sean Pearson. Those two I ran with every day. I didn't go to school with them. They were older than me and they went to a different school. But Dave lived up the street. Not up the street, he just lived 3-4 houses down from me on the same street. Laurel Street, St. Paul, Minnesota. Then there was Sean Pearson, who lived directly across the street from me. So we used to play, tackle football in the street during the wintertime in the snow, flag football during the summertime. We used to do the bumper skiing during the wintertime, the ding-dong ditches, bag snatching on Halloween. We'd go shovel snow together, cut grass together. I mean, we did everything together, the three of us. And the ironic thing about it, my father used to hang out with Dave's dad when he was younger. He grew up with Dave's dad. Kenny Pugh grew up with him, along with Dave Winfield and Steve Winfield. That's right, Dave Winfield. My dad grew up with Dave Winfield. They lived literally 4 houses apart from each other on Carroll Street down in St. Paul, Minnesota, right by Oxford Recreation Center, right underneath Central High School, where they both would hang out at. My dad, John Walter Lee, And Dave Winfield and Steve Winfield and Kenny Pugh, the four of them used to hang out at Oxford Rec Center, which is now named the Jimmy Lee Recreation Center. They renamed it when they renovated it, added a water park, and they named it after my grandfather, my dad's father, Jimmy Lee Recreation Center. They used to hang out there, and they went to Central High together. The four of them, all of them. So me and Dave, it was so ironic that me and Dave were such good friends growing up. He was older than me, 2 years older than me, I believe, him and Sean. But like I said, Dave lived 4 houses up and Sean lived right across the street. The choirs, Howard Choir was like a brother to me, him and his family. Actually, his mom and dad, Hazel Choir, God rest her soul, and Vernon Choir. And I believe it was Vernon who actually married my father and my stepmother, Angie, who I don't call my stepmother because she helped raise me. Had a big wedding in our house down there on Laurel Street, and all the choirs were there because it was like they were like our second family. So that's my first experience with friends. Didn't last long because I moved. Didn't stay long. I lived in Minnesota for I think 7 years, I believe it was, maybe even less than that, from the 3rd grade to the 7th grade. So that's 4 years. But I encountered some really good friends. The Howells, Bruce Howell, Scott Howell. Like I said, John Graham, very good friend of mine, Froggy. Hope you're still alive, man. I really do hope you're still alive. I was the best man in John's wedding, and I was a groomsman in Bruce's wedding. And this was years after. Like I said, I only knew him grade school, but I stay in touch with him. Now, getting older, then you got high school. My 9th grade year, I went to Saddleback High in Santa Ana, California. But I hung out with my older cousin and my sister, my stepsister, my sister, Gwen and Kenny. Hung out with them, so I always hung out with the older crowds. I really didn't meet any friends my age, and I was only there for a year, 9th grade. I was going to church a lot, so I was meeting girls in church and going to go hang out and visit them. But moving forward, now we're jumping into high school. Okay. Oh, and when I was in Tennessee, I lived in Tennessee for 2 years, 8th and 9th grade. I had some friends, played basketball, or played football for them, actually. This is when I was still playing football. Played football for them. And I had a few friends, I didn't really gain a lot because when I was living in Tennessee, I was running with my older brother, Bobby, God rest his soul, Robert Miles. And he was, taking me to go hang out with his people, which were 4 years older than me. So I really... I really didn't have too many good friends in Memphis, Tennessee. But Memphis was great. I had a blast. Memphis was off the hook. But moving forward, moving back to California from Memphis, like I said, I went to Saddleback High School, moved back in the 9th grade, went to Saddleback High School, and I was still hanging out with the older crowd. And I was only at Saddleback for a year, so I still didn't get any friends. Just my cousin's friends and my older brother. Well, at this time, my older brother was running in a gang at the time. So he was too busy running through the parks, Centennial Park. What was the other one? Over there, not Jackson Park, but Jackson Park. And the other one, I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me. But, so wasn't really hanging out with him. I was more hanging out with Kenny, his buddy Marlon, his cousin Dwayne, Rob Nettles, Todd Cage. And they were 4 years older than me, so I was hanging out with them. Being too young, I remember one time me and Kenny went down to Pasadena to go to a club, but we ended up, we smoked some weed and ended up at his brother Larry, and just sat there and laughed all night, eating rolls, cinnamon rolls, cherry cinnamon rolls. It was hilarious. But anywho, so in the 9th grade, I really didn't, I was still hanging with the older crowd. Now, 10th grade, moved in with my mom. Some things happened between me and my father, so I moved in with my mom. She was living in Orange at the time, right outside of Anaheim Hills. And now I'm starting to get my own identity now. I'm underneath my older brother's thumb, and he corrupted me quite a bit, y'all. I'm not complaining. It's my choice to follow him. Some great things happen and some bad things happen. We don't have to get into that. But now I'm finding my own identity. I was 10th grade year. I moved to Anaheim Hills, or Orange, borderline Anaheim Hills. Started going to Canyon High School. Started getting my own identity. And now the friends are starting to get more now. You know, I went to Canyon not knowing a single soul in that entire city. Graduated, went to the Marine Corps in 85. Got there, I believe, 81, 82, my sophomore year, because I graduated in 85. Like I said, not knowing a soul. Graduated, knowing the entire city. Okay? The entire city. I met quite a few people. And some people who I still call friends to this day. I was blessed. It was an all-white school, but, you know, me, I get along with everybody. I'm a Gemini. I'm a people person. I'm a salesman. And I get along with everybody. I make friends with everybody. I'm just that one. You know, you look up Gemini in the dictionary, there'll be a picture of me with a huge smile on my face. Okay. But, yeah, so going through high school, Canyon High, you know, met the twins, the Drew twins, David and Darren Drew, very close friends. I mean, we were like brothers going through high school. John Nicewander, God rest his soul, very, very close and dear personal friend of mine. You know, his parents, his mom and dad and my mom were friends. They knew each other. Now, keep in mind, my mom, black activist, didn't believe in interracial relationships. You know, for the most part, and to be honest, really didn't like white folks as I was growing up. Now she's changed. She's got God in her life, and she loves everybody now. But she's still a black activist, a rebel. Okay. So anywho, I'm in an all-white high school, and she only let me hang out with certain people who lived in the immediate area. Couldn't date because all-white high school and all-white girls, so I really couldn't date, but I still did. You know, I was something else in high school. This is where I really gained my own identity. Basically, John Walter Lee II took over. Okay. Again, like I said, I moved to this area summer of going into my 10th grade year, not knowing a soul. And when I graduated and left for the Marine Corps, you know, they probably wanted to build a statue of me. Okay. Because that's how it was. But anywho, so, you know, and again, this is B-Swag Podcast, and that's 3 G's. B-S-W-A-G-G-G, B-Swag Podcast. Okay? Again, went in there not knowing a soul. And if I could just say this first, let me give you the definition of friends. You know, I looked it up, and I should have said this before I even got started, but this is the Webster Dictionary, definition of friend. It's a noun. And according to the Webster Dictionary, definition number 1, it's one who is attached to another by affection. I'm going to repeat that. One who is attached to another by affection. Definition number 2, a person who has a strong liking for and trust in another. Again, a person who has a strong liking for and trust in another. And last but not least, my favorite, a person who is not an enemy. Repeat that. A person who is not an enemy. Now, these are the definition of a friend straight out of the Webster Dictionary. Okay? So now, getting back to entering Canyon High School. Okay. It was a change for me because I never went to an all-white high school. Never. Tennessee was mostly black, some white. When I was in grade school, you know, all black. Because the area I lived in, St. Paul, Minnesota, where I lived, J.J. Hill, 90% black. Well, let's say 85% black. Longfellow, 85% black. Ramsey Junior High, 85% black. Central High School, which I didn't go, but that's the school I was supposed to go to, 90% black. Okay? So now I get to Canyon my sophomore year. I'll put it to you this way. When I was at Canyon my sophomore year, there was only probably no more than 11 blacks in the entire school. And that's 10th, 11th, 12th. It wasn't a huge school, but 10th, 11th, 12th. And I would say anywhere between, I'd say 8 and 11 blacks in the entire school. Just to give you an idea. Now, I went in there not knowing a soul. Okay? But again, left knowing the entire city. All right? And just to give you, you know, a quick little synopsis, quick rundown. Okay? You know, like I said, I met quite a few people. I took a lot of notes, you know, but I'm going to just run through this real quick. And I call these BFAM, brother from another mother, because these guys, these cats ended up being my brother. Again, the Drews, David and Darren Drew, twins. And these were my immediate, this is my sophomore year, who I really clicked with, hung out with on a day-to-day basis, inseparable, so to speak. David and Darren, I met David playing basketball. And the funny thing about it, David used to always have the racial jokes, always. And I just finally got tired of it. And I stopped in the middle of basketball practice and I straight told him, you keep it up, man. We got to get into it. I'm going to slap the shit out of you. Excuse my language. I literally told him that. His brother was there and everybody else who already knew him, because you got to remember, these kids grew up together, since probably first grade on, But like I said, my mom being a black activist, she taught us not to take that mess. I don't use the N-word to this day because of my mother. She taught us the hate behind it. I don't use with an A or an ER. I just don't. Neither one. Okay. So David Drew had a mouth on him, but believe it or not, later on as we grew up, anytime I got into it with anybody, that cat was right by my side. I almost started a huge brawl between Canyon High and El Medina High. They were our rivals in football. And who was there? David Drew, right there by my side. When I almost got into it with Mike Thomas, who, like I said, Mike was the other one of the other black guys that went to Canyon High. And he grew up with these cats. So it was supposed to be he was slated to be that one, It was supposed to be his school. But I came, and me being me, it didn't happen that way. So we was always competing. But when we almost got into it in the parking lot, after a basketball game, David Drew was right there. There was another time when a dude put a cross on my lawn. And don't get me wrong, guys, a little raggedy little cross, a little young kid that did this, went to the same school I did, just jealous because his girl was liking me. And so one night, he put a cross on my lawn. I grabbed it, took it back to his house, gave it to his mom, told him I'm going to see him in school. But who was there that attacked him? David Drew. Another time at a party, this one guy who wasn't even supposed to be at the party. I was drunk as heck, about to get into it. Who was there? David Drew. This cat, every time I got into it, was about to get into it, he was always by my side and always had my back. And then me and his brother became real tight, really tight. So those two. Then there's KT, Kevin Taylor, another guy who was in our little circle. Bob Mikowski, and again, John Nicewinder, God rest his soul. That was the main crew my sophomore year. Now, keep in mind, these guys grew up together, played baseball together, little league football, baseball, all that good stuff. I was a new guy, and they accepted me, took me in. And like I said, I call my brothers to this day. Now, later, my junior year, along came Robert Castaneda, somebody who I became very, very good friends with, who I would call my brother. His parents knew my parents, the whole 9 yards. There was Brian Drescher, my sophomore year too. We had photography together. We used to get drunk at the dark room. Okay, me and Thrasher was it. And again, Mike Thomas, but me and Mike weren't friends in high school. We were always at each other's throat. But those are just a few. And then as I got older, junior year, met more because I played basketball. I was on the yearbook staff. Always had a camera, photo club, the whole 9 yards. I mean, my pictures won contest in photography. So we used to have a field trip that we go to Venice Beach. And we got slaughtered. And we'd go to Venice Beach to take pictures. But anyways, there was Double S, Sean Stein, Chris Rippey. Those two right there were my dudes. Those were my basketball buddies. I played basketball with them. Very close with them. Okay, very, very close. And this was throughout the whole high school. But I knew the whole high school. I mean, I used to play basketball on Saturdays with the assistant principal, Dr. Kim. I worked in the lunch line, so I had a lot of the teachers that I was giving them free food. We used to get high, smoke weed. We smoked weed before we went to class. I mean, I'd show up to games high. I remember one game I showed up, I think it was against, I want to say Orange, and I was sober. The coach looked at me like I was crazy. Me and Nicewinder showed up. And, the coach is like, do you need time to go behind the building and get high? Because I played my best sometimes when I was stoned. I remember sophomore JV, it was me, Nicewinder, Steve Skaggs, David Drew until he quit. David finally quit. and then I forget, there was another Asian cat, can't remember his name, David Bay, that was his name. Yeah, we was a squad. Okay. But yeah, that was my squad in high school. Close, very close knit friends. One thing I want to say, if you find somebody, you know somebody who you can call your friend, cherish that. Because I burnt a lot of bridges between, growing up in the age of 55 where I'm at now. I burned quite a few. And I wish I had some of those bridges still. Some of the friends that I've lost due to my actions. Okay. Like I said, as I get older, I learn the definition of accountability. And it becomes more and more important to me. So I am accountable for the majority of the friends that I lost. Okay. Some I've lost due to distance. It just happens. Some I've lost to death. That just happens, which it shouldn't at our age, but it did, and it does. But the ones I lost due to my actions, my selfish actions, my greedy actions, it's uncalled for and it's unnecessary and there's no excuse for it. So now we out of high school, and Mr. Leal, very good friend of mine, my photo teacher, very good friend of mine. I grew up, when I was in high school, he really helped out a lot. I had the key to the dark room, so I can go work on my photography whenever I wanted until me and Brian Thrasher, our dumbasses, excuse my language, we were drinking one night in the dark room and left the 40s in the trash can, and they got them the next day, and so they took the key from us. But that's pretty much school. Okay, now from school, we go into the Marine Corps. Marine Corps, you don't really get friends. You do, but you don't really get them out of boot camp. You get them in boot camp because you're scared. So you're young. You're still scared because you don't know what's going on, what's going to happen. Your whole body and your whole mind is being recalculated, calibrated. That's it. But, there was James Fry, Tony Whedon. Okay, those two right there were my ace. They were and Michael Ville. Those three, Michael Ville, Tony Whedon, and James Fry. Those three right there we were like fingers on a hand. Okay, those were my cats going through boot camp. James was the troubled one. He was the one that he was from Detroit, and he was that one where it's either the judge told him, you go to jail, you go into the service. That's when they still had that. Back in '86. So he was, we was always in the sandbox because of him fighting with the damn drill instructor. So then after boot camp, I get to the fleet. Brian Drescher, the father of my goddaughter. Okay, we were inseparable through the Marine Corps. Shaw, Nick Smith, Sam Wims, out of Liberty City, Florida. Inseparable. I was blessed because I had guys and girls that were my friends, but like Kim Oath in high school was a very good friend of mine. She ended up going into the service. I wonder where she is to this day. She's one of those friends I talk about due to distance. Robert Castaneda, a very good friend of mine back in high school. Just to back up to that, I ruined that friendship. Money ruined that friendship. Him loaning me money and me not paying him back, which is sad. It was when I was young. I didn't understand the true meaning of friendship. But anywho, so we're in the Marine Corps now. We got Brian Drescher, Chuck Chavez, God rest his soul, Cotton, Weatherby. Again, Brian Drescher, my ace Boone Coon, that's another friendship that I ruined, that I wish I still had, because his daughter is my goddaughter. I don't talk to her as much now, but I was in touch with her as she was growing up. I was there with her when she was born, But it's sad that me and Brian are no longer friends, because we were inseparable through the Marine Corps. I don't know if I mentioned John Graham, Bruce Howe. Those were friends that I got as a young, in the 3rd grade, 4th grade. Okay. But Marine Corps made some really good friends, brothers, Nick Smith, Corporal Smith, we used to call him Face. He's part of Gemini Club. It was me, Brian, Nick, Shaw, because we were all Geminis. Okay. Georgetown, hanging out in Georgetown. Brian Carruthers, BC, always had my back, always. Okay. Good friends. Very important. Like I said, I was blessed. I'm still blessed. God has a plan for me, and I believe that. And so I submit to Him, because He's got plans for me. I'm not in charge of this. It's all Him. But He put a lot of good people in my life growing up. I'm 55 years old. I've never broken a bone in my body, and I was an 0341 in the Marine Corps, grunt. Ran through the woods with 60 to 70 pounds on my back, always. Growing up as a child, I was a rambunctious child, played football, basketball. We used to run through the streets, and then even out of the Marine Corps, bounced in bars, worked in bars, bounced at them, worked the door, been in brawls. And I've never broken a bone in my body. The only thing I've had surgery on is my wisdom teeth. So God is really, as they say, I'm shielded with the blood of God. And I know it, He's got major plans for me because He's watched over me. He's kept me at arm's length and kept me out of major problems, major incidents. And He still continues to bless me, But anywho, so, growing up, Marine Corps, Nick Smith, I got into it one time at a bar when I was bouncing at this bar in Georgetown. Dude hit me in the back of the head with a mug. Nick was there. Got into it at the E Club when I was stationed in Virginia. Nick was there, I've been blessed. And, like I said, to grow up and have certain people, I've had friends that's cheated on me, that stole from my dad, that, set me up for this, set me up for the fall, so to speak, that wasn't really my friends, who I thought was. So it's gone both ways. I've had friends who, they weren't really my friends. And I had, people who I didn't classify as friends who ended up being my friends, such as Mike Thomas. Me and Mike Thomas were like brothers, but that's a friendship I ruined over money, I'm talking about real true friends that are 100, that have your back no matter what, It's just, think about the craziest story with your best friend. And I want you to think about it. The craziest story with your best friend. And just sit back and think about it. The Houdini, I saw him in concert. They had a rap called Friends, a song called Friends. I used to love it. I was born on my father's birthday, so my dad was always my best friend growing up. I was always a daddy's boy. I was always with my father. And if I wasn't with my father, I was with my little brother. Bottom line, I was with my little brother. Now, as I got older, if I had football games to take snaps, I was on the yearbook staff for basketball games to playing, then I was doing my thing. As I got older, I would go to parties with, like I said, it was me, KT, the Drews, Bob Mikowski, and John Nicewinder. That's just who it was. I don't care what anybody else says. Everybody can say this, they can say that. Oh, he wasn't around, it wasn't him. That's who it was. My sophomore year and my junior year, until the end of my junior year. And that's when I met Robert, the end of my junior year, one of my senior year. Bob took his GED, so he wasn't around for his senior year. Mike Thomas, we were always at each other. So we were always competing with each other. As I got older, and when I became a senior, I started hanging out with the juniors too. Mel Green, Matt Alario, Dave Temple, Tim Dunn. They became very good friends of mine, because they were athletes. I played ball, so I was a jock too. And I took pictures of all their games, I remember there was a group in high school, though, come to find out later, where we used to live. Almost every other Friday, not every Friday, at night, people drive by and say the N-word, call us niggers, and they throw dead possums in our pool, empty 12-packs, they threw bricks through our windows, the whole 9 yards. And we just never knew. And the cop lived across the street from us, Mr. Redwine, Dave Redwine, but we never knew who it was. But come to find out, after years, after I Marine Corps, got back from the Marine Corps, lived in Boston, back in California, gone on with my life, and come to find out, it was our first 80s reunion. We started having that. Hold on a minute.